Today, Strive Masiyiwa stands as one of Africa's most respected technology entrepreneurs, worth over $1.5 billion according to Forbes. His telecommunications empire, Econet Group, connects millions across Africa, Europe, and beyond. From mobile networks that brought communication to remote villages, to renewable energy projects powering hospitals and schools, Masiyiwa's vision extends far beyond profit margins. But his journey to the top was anything smooth. Banned from operating in his own country for 5 years, he fought a legal battle against a government determined to crush his ambitions. This is the story of how a young Zimbabwean engineer became one of Africa's most influential business leaders, building a telecommunications empire that spans over 20 countries, and proving that integrity and persistence can overcome even the most powerful opposition. The story begins in 1961, when Strive Masiyiwa was born in Zimbabwe, then called Rhodesia, during the height of colonial rule. When he was 7 years old, his parents made a difficult decision that would change his life forever. They sent him to boarding school in Zambia, away from the intensifying violence of the Liberation War. Later, his family moved to Kitwe, where his father worked in the mining industry. In the late 1970s, seeking better educational opportunities, the family relocated to Scotland. At Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, Strive studied electrical and electronic engineering, immersing himself in the technical knowledge that would later underpin his telecommunications ventures. He was particularly fascinated by emerging technologies in communications and computing, technologies he believed could transform Africa. After completing his degree in 1983, Strive worked briefly with British companies, gaining valuable experience in telecommunications engineering. But his heart was in Africa. Zimbabwe had recently gained independence in 1980, and the new nation needed skilled professionals to rebuild and modernize. In 1984, at age 23, Strive returned home with technical expertise, international experience, and burning ambition to contribute to his country's development. He joined the Zimbabwe Posts and Telecommunications Corporation, working as a senior engineer. The experience was eye-opening. He saw firsthand how poor telecommunications infrastructure hindered economic development, how rural communities remained isolated without phone access, and how inefficient state monopolies stifled innovation. After 2 years in the public sector, Strive made a bold decision. In 1986, he left his secure government job to start his own business. With his wife Titsi by his side and minimal capital, he founded Retrophone, a company that initially maintained telephone exchanges and installed telephone lines for businesses. Retrophone grew steadily, earning a reputation for reliability and technical excellence. In 1993, Strive applied for a license to operate a mobile phone network. Mobile technology was still relatively new globally, but he understood its potential to leapfrog traditional infrastructure. Mobile networks could connect communities that might never get landlines. His vision was clear: democratize telecommunications access across Zimbabwe. But the government refused to grant him a license. The state telecommunications monopoly, which generated significant revenue for the government, saw private competition as a threat. Behind closed doors, powerful interests profited from the monopoly and had no intention of allowing competition. Most entrepreneurs would have given up, but Strive Masiyiwa did something extraordinary. He decided to challenge the government's monopoly in court, arguing that denying him a license violated Zimbabwe's constitution. It was a decision that would cost him dearly, both financially and personally, but would ultimately change telecommunications regulation across Africa. The legal battle lasted 5 years, from 1993 to 1998. During this time, Strive couldn't operate his mobile network, but he still had to pay the technical experts he'd hired and maintain the equipment he'd purchased. His resources drained rapidly. Banks refused to lend to him. Friends and family urged him to give up. The government used every tool at its disposal to pressure him. Tax inspectors suddenly found problems with his existing businesses. Government contracts for retrophone mysteriously disappeared. Anonymous threats warned him to abandon his legal challenge. But each time doubt crept in, he remembered why he'd started this fight. Because ordinary Zimbabweans deserved better. His wife Tsitsi became his pillar of strength during these dark years. Together, they maintained their faith, believing that justice would eventually prevail. In 1998, Zimbabwe's Supreme Court finally ruled in Strive's favor. The judges declared that the government's telecommunications monopoly was unconstitutional. It was a landmark victory that set legal precedents across the continent. With the license finally secured, Econet Wireless Zimbabwe launched in 1998. Pent-up demand exploded. Within months, Econet had connected more customers than the state monopoly had managed in years. Strive introduced prepaid calling cards that made mobile phones accessible to ordinary Zimbabweans, not just the wealthy elite. His network expanded rapidly into rural areas that had never had any phone service. But success in Zimbabwe was just the beginning. Strive began expanding Econet across Africa, securing licenses in countries hungry for telecommunications investment. Econet expanded into Botswana, Lesotho, Kenya, and beyond. By the mid-2000s, the Econet Group was operating across multiple African countries, connecting millions of people who had never had access to telecommunications. In the 2010s, Strive began diversifying beyond telecommunications. He invested in renewable energy through Distributed Power Africa, bringing solar power to off-grid communities and businesses. He also ventured into fintech, recognizing that mobile money could bank the unbanked millions across Africa. EcoCash, Econet's mobile money platform, became one of Africa's largest, enabling people without traditional bank accounts to save money, pay bills, and conduct business through their mobile phones. What distinguishes Strive from many wealthy entrepreneurs is his deep commitment to philanthropy and social impact. The Masiyiwa family has donated hundreds of millions to education, health, and humanitarian causes. Through the Higher Life Foundation, they've provided scholarships to over 250,000 orphans and vulnerable children across Africa. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Strive emerged as one of Africa's most important voices. He joined the African Union's COVID-19 response team, helped negotiate vaccine purchases for the continent, and used his platforms to educate Africans about the virus and vaccines. His approach to business is deeply rooted in Christian faith and ethical principles. On his popular Facebook page, where millions follow his business insights, Strive regularly shares lessons about integrity, perseverance, and servant leadership. He emphasizes that successful entrepreneurship requires character, not just intelligence or capital. Today, as Africa's digital transformation accelerates, Strive Masiyiwa's vision looks increasingly prescient. His early bet on mobile telecommunications helped connect hundreds of millions of Africans. His investments in renewable energy are powering Africa's economic growth sustainably. His philanthropic work is educating the next generation of African leaders. The young engineer who returned from Scotland in 1984 has become one of Africa's most influential business leaders through innovation, persistence, and unwavering commitment to expanding opportunity. His journey proves that African entrepreneurs can build world-class companies while maintaining integrity, that fighting for principle can lead to transformative victories, and that business success creates platforms for even greater social impact. If this story of courage, innovation, and principled leadership inspired you, hit that like button and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to OneAfrica and turn on notifications so you never miss our coverage of the business leaders and innovators who are proving that African excellence knows no limits. The continent's most inspiring stories are still unfolding, and Strive Masiyiwa continues writing his legacy one connection at a time.